The New York Connecting Railroad, or NYCR, is a rail line in the borough of Queens in New York City. It links New York City and Long Island by rail directly to the North American mainland. Amtrak, CSXP, Canadian Pacific Railway, Providence and Worcester Railroad, and New York and Atlantic Railway currently use the line. It runs from the Hell Gate Bridge over the East River to Fresh Pond Junction yard in Glendale. It was completed in 1917. Amtrak uses the northernmost section of the line from Sunnyside Junction in the Woodside section of Queens to the Hell Gate Bridge into the Bronx, from which it follows the line north to Boston. Amtrak owns the line north of Sunnyside Junction, which forms part of the Northeast Corridor. For this point to Fresh Pond Junction, CSX is the owner, with the line known as the Fremont Secondary. At Fresh Pond, the line leads into the Bay Ridge Branch, a freight-only branch owned by the Long Island Railroad, and operated by the New York and Atlantic Railway. Route description: the line begins at the Hell Gate Bridge over the East River. This is a massive span, a main span of 1,017 feet and a total length of over 17,000 feet. Continuing south, the line is on a high-level elevated viaduct over Astoria and Interstate 278. The line then is on an embankment in Sunnyside Junction, where Amtrak's Northeast Corridor line branches off, is here. The line heads south and parallels Interstate 278 for a distance. This portion of the line was completely rebuilt in 2002. Now in the section of Elmhurst, the NYCR passes under several streets in a cut. An arched concrete viaduct over Queens Boulevard is followed by cuts and overpasses over streets in Maspeth, Queens. After crossing under the Long Island Expressway and passing a few cemeteries, the line reaches Fresh Pond Junction. This is the main facility for shipping freight by rail in and out of New York City and Long Island. The New York and Atlantic Railway, which operates freights on the Long Island Railroad under a privatized concession, has its main offices at Fresh Pond. CSX and PW also interchange freight with NYCR here. South of Fresh Pond Junction, the line continues south as the LIRR's Bay Ridge branch to the 65th Street yard. The line has 3 tracks to the north of Sunnyside Junction and 1 track to the south of this point. There is a plan to connect the line to the Spoyton, Deweyville and Port Morris Railroad spur between the Northeast Corridor at 141st Street to the Harlem line at 163rd Street and Melrose Avenue as part of a New York City subway circumferential line called Tri-BRX operation. CSX serves the line with 1 to 2 daily round trips, with trains based out of Oak Point Yard. The CSX trains bring general freight to the interchange with the New York and Atlantic Railway at Fresh Pond Junction in Queens, and return with empties and container loads of solid waste. Providence and Worcester runs 3 trains per week carrying gravel from Cedar Hill Yard in New Haven, Connecticut to Fresh Pond. Origins: the New York Connecting Railroad was incorporated on April 21, 1892, and was jointly owned by the New York, New Haven and Hartford Railroad and the Pennsylvania Railroad. The line opened in 1917 as a connection between the New Haven's Harlem River and Port Chester Railroad and the PRR East River tunnels to Penn Station and the North River tunnels under the Hudson River. The line was dedicated on March 9, 1917 by PRR President Samuel Ryan engineer Gustav Lindenthal. A special special train took the directors of the New Haven over the line on March 25, 1917, and at the time it was turned over to the New Haven for operation, though the Southern Division was not yet complete. Passenger service began on April 1, 1917, with the return of the Federal Express and the rerouting of 2 local trains. The Colonial began using it April 30, resulting in the first accident on the NYCR on August 20, 1917. Through freights to Bay Ridge began January 17, 1918, and the final work was completed August 7, 1918. Electrification. The New York Connecting Railroad was electrified around 1927 as an extension of the New Haven system. The NYCR system encompassed 20 route miles of track, and was electrified, like the New Haven, using overhead catenary at 11 kV 25 Hz. The system received power from the New Haven Coscob Power Station and Consolidated Edison 201st Generating Station via the West Farm substation. Additional power was supplied from a 5 MW 7 kVA 11 kV 3-phase to single-phase converter installed at East New York. This unit was also operated in synchronous condenser mode for reactive power support. Like the New Haven, the NYCR traction power was distributed using the 2x11 kV auto transformer topology. 2 wires, the feeder and the catenary, carried voltage of 11 kV to ground, but of opposite phase such that the feeder and catenary were 22 kV phase to phase. 6 auto transformer stations, spaced an average of 3.8 miles apart along the line, converted power. Each station contained oil circuit breakers for both feeder and trolleybuses, bus sectioning switches, and one 3 MVA outdoor auto transformer. The LIR portion of the system, along with the freight catenary from West Farms over Hellgate to Bowery Bay, was removed in 1969–1970. By 1986, Amtrak, which had inherited the connecting railroad, changed the traction power system over to 60 Hz operation, coincident with the Metro-North Railroad repowering of the New Haven line at 60 Hz and the activation of the Coscob Power Station. The auto transformer architecture was retained, but the source of power changed from the Metro-North New Haven line system to the Con Edison supplied Van Ness substation.